So the Philadelphia Eagles just saved 15% or more in salary cap insurance by switching to Kiko. Everybody's already got an opinion following Tuesday's blockbuster swap featuring LeSean McCoy and Buffalo's Kiko Alonso. But I'm going to withhold judgment until after the NFL draft. I need to see how everything plays itself out. I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% thrilled of this trade, but I see the big picture. All I can say is the Eagles better get Marcus Mariota. McCoy had a cap hit of $11.6 million, while Alonso is on the books for $1.1 million. The Eagles free up $20 million in cap space the next 2 years. So, Philly is going to mortgage the next couple drafts to get Mariota and go on a free agent spending spree. That's the only logical explanation of this trade. By the way, the Eagles also released Trent Cole and Kerry Williams on Tuesday, so in all, they cleared up $31.7 million in cap space. I'm not going to lie. Again, when I initially heard of the trade, I reacted with my heart. McCoy's my guy. He's my boy. He's my favorite player in the NFL. So that first 15 minutes or so, I had to question the decision. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are they doing this? All that. But when you really dig deeper, it makes sense. But again, they better get Mariota. But you can't look at it, as the Eagles trading McCoy for Alonso. The way you got to look at it is the Birds swapping McCoy for Alonso and whoever they sign in free agency with that extra cap space. They now have enough money to fill the holes they won't be able to through the draft if they mortgage it to get Mariota. They can re-sign Jeremy Maclin and Brandon Graham. They can sign Byron Maxwell, Devin McCourty, Mark Ingram, or CJ Spiller, whatever running back they want to choose. So they've got options. They got things that they can do now. They've got the money. It's crazy. I heard reports last week that Chip didn't think McCoy was worth the money he was making, that he was even willing to cut him to free up the cap space. As it turns out, that report might have been true. I'm hearing that the Eagles were calling teams, asking if they wanted McCoy, and if there weren't any suitors, they were prepared to cut him loose. That's fucking crazy talk, isn't it? I mean, it's fucking insane. Shenanigans. But it only took the Bills 20 minutes to say yes. Early in February, there were also reports that Philly wanted to restructure McCoy's contract. They weren't asking him to take a pay cut or anything, but he simply wasn't interested. All right, moving on. Here's the way that Chip looks at the offensive side of the ball. What's important is the quarterback and offensive line positions. Everything else is interchangeable. He literally thinks that he can plug anyone in at running back or wide receiver, and his system will be successful. In his opinion, the system makes the skill players. It's a lot like Bill Belichick's logic in New England. He's always had Tom Brady, a great offensive line, and so-so skill players. Seriously, it seems like he's changing running backs every year. And besides Randy Moss and Troy Brown, what receivers has New England ever had? I mean, the trio of Julian Edelman, Brandon LaFell, and Danny Amendola was good enough to win a Super Bowl this season. So again, all we can do is wait and see. With that being said, we are talking about a running back here that leads the NFL in rushing over the last 5 years with 6,155 yards. That's a lot of production. But another thing to take into account, McCoy isn't the type of north-south runner that Chip covets in this offense. He simply danced too much. He liked to audition for Dancing with the Stars, and when his career's over, he will certainly be on that show. Of course, McCoy had his retractors this past season, and those same people do agree with this trade because they think that McCoy is on the decline and on this downside of his career. But I disagree completely. I think McCoy still has, 3 to 4 good years left in him. The problem in Buffalo, however, is going to be the same dilemma that he had in his first month in Philly. He's going to have a terrible offensive line. It's going to be awful. By the way, to the people that do think that McCoy's lost this step, he was second in the NFL in rushing after Week 5 behind only DeMarco Murray. And to further emphasize my point about the Eagles' offensive line was, McCoy's average yards before contact per rush dropped from 3.59 in 2013, which was second best in the NFL, to 2.71 last season. Okay, so moving on to Alonso now. I know he was in Buffalo, and a lot of you Philadelphians, might not really know who he is. But Kiko is a stud. We're getting a stud linebacker in return. Alonso also won the 2013 Pro Football Writers Association Rookie of the Year award after recording 154 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. Of course, he's coming off an ACL tear, and many are worried if he'll have the same explosiveness as before. But many athletes have returned to normal following these injuries. Just take Macklin and Adrian Peterson, for example. It's almost become like the Tommy John surgery in baseball. Guys are recovering from this now. It's not like it was, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's going to be a lot of fun, watching Kendricks and Alonso do their thing for the next couple years. I mean, they could become the most formidable set of inside linebackers in the league. And both are very, very good in coverage. So this allows Chip to capitalize on what his up-tempo offense dictates, to force opponents to play at his speed, to keep up with his defense that will be a lot better at shutting off the passing lanes. All right, so that's just a little snippet of how I feel about this trade. Mike will be joining me Friday to give all you guys his thoughts, and we'll be doing a full breakdown of which free agents the Eagles should pursue. So we're going to look at secondary, cornerback, safety. We'll look at some wide receivers. We'll look at running back. We'll look at everybody. So stay tuned. To conclude, I wanted to thank you, partner VSP, for sponsoring our channel last week. So basically, the Bitter Birds are now getting paid to do something they like to do on their spare time. So keep watching and keep subscribing, because if you do, we get paid. All right, that's it for today. Later, guys. Take it easy. See you Friday.